In this video, I'm going to be going over the trees, the deep philosophy of the trees in the Bible. I'm going to be going over the Garden of Eden, the trees in the garden. I'm going to be going over the fruit that was on the trees of the knowledge of good and evil, and the fruit that was on the trees of the tree of life, and with the deep meaning behind it, and what the Bible has to say about these fruits. And I'm going to be going over some Christmas stuff. This is going to relate to Christmas a little bit. So there's an argument, an ongoing long argument, over what kind of tree and what kind of fruits was on the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and on the tree of life. That is because God uses the philosophy of every single fruit. And he even uses people hanging from the trees, okay? God uses, and the Bible actually tells you this, if you study it, okay? God uses every single fruit that was on these trees as the tree is not, and every single kind of tree for different kinds of understanding. And I'll even show you a Bible verse. First of all, in my previous video, I already talked about how a diverse eagle landed on a tree. Okay, that's hint number one, that these multiple colors are multiple kinds of fruit. Another thing is you have to read the whole Bible, okay? You have to really read the Bible, okay, and study it. The Bible depicts Satan and Jesus and God and their people as wearing multiple colored jewels. But it's not, yes, they're breastplates, but if you read the Bible, these jewels go over the whole body, okay? But in the Bible, they're both described as trees, okay? They're described as men and angels and stars, and they're both described as trees. So not only do you have to put these multiple colors over people and angel stuff, you have to put these multiple colors all over trees, because they're both described as trees. Alright? See what I'm getting at? Oh, and what is this? What about the multiple colors of the New Jerusalem? So not only do you have to put these multiple breastplate colors all over these trees, you have to put these multiple colors all over buildings. Do you get where I'm getting at? And that's exactly what Satan and people who don't believe in the Bible do. They change the truth, and they take the truth from God and they twist it around and they make it evil, okay? They steal from God and make it evil, alright? People and Satan, okay? And Satan mocks God so much, they almost look like the same thing to people, alright? Obviously, to people who know better, they know that they're the opposite. To most people, they cannot tell the difference between these two fellas, okay? They can't tell. Satan mocks God, everything he does. Okay, so I'm really going to prove it to you with a few more things. I'm going to get into the wood of it. But look at this. This is in the book of Psalms. Look at what it says. It says, all the trees of the wood. What? That doesn't make sense. They forgot to put the S. No, they didn't, okay? The King James Bible doesn't make a mistake. How can all the trees be inside one wood? Because it's talking about multiple trees inside one tree. And if you had multiple trees inside one tree, it would produce what? Multiple fruit. Okay? But the other tree is just the mirror image of it. Almost. Okay, almost the mirror image of it. There's a few things missing. But that's why you have to use the philosophy and understanding of the other tree too, with using all the same fruit. Okay? Okay, so this is one you have to figure out what's going on, okay, and decide what you're going to believe. Alright? So, why are these ancient people decorating trees before the Bible came out? Oh no, the Jews were just copying them, or Christians were just copying them. Ha ha ha. No. Okay? Because these trees, God is describing the Garden of Eden. Throughout the whole Bible, God is describing heaven and the Garden of Eden. Alright? Inside the Garden of Eden, there are trees that had multiple colors and multiple fruit. And that actually really happened. So, the oral tradition, when Adam and Eve and all their children left, because Adam and Eve had many children, okay? And then Noah, yes. And the oral traditions of what was in the garden went all over the whole world. And that is why everyone it started decorating trees. Every ancient culture started decorating trees, even the Native Americans. It's so funny because people will claim, oh, the Egyptians invented decorating trees, or the Hindu, or blah blah blah, or I made a video where I talked about the German side of it. Okay, they have a weird multiple colored tree theme too. Everyone does. It's so funny because everyone thinks that they're so original. Everyone has a tree decorating history. Why? Because the oral traditions of what happened in the Garden of Eden went everywhere. That's why. And then they blame Christians and the Jews for stealing their stuff when actually it's the other way around. They stole the stuff from the Bible. But what happened? From what really happened in the Bible. That because the Garden of Eden really happened. And this was before the Bible came out, though. So what? Because it really happened. God did that on purpose. He made the Bible come out later, so you would know that this stuff really happened. Because everyone was doing stuff that came out of the oral traditions of Adam and Eve's descendants. But what happens? What happens? People start adding in their own stuff. They start adding their own spin-off to it. Oh, well, instead of just decorating the trees in the garden, we're gonna, add human sacrifice to it. And add animal sacrifice to it, and be really weird and be twisted around, all right? And even to that proves it even today. People don't even know why you decorate trees. It just becomes tradition, and you don't even know why you do it anymore. I'm telling you how it originally started right now. Okay, it's dangerous to just blindly do things and not realize why you're doing it. All right, that is why God warned you about tradition. Okay. Just blindly doing things that other people are doing just because everyone else is doing it is dangerous. But no one believes it. No one believes in the Garden of Eden. Even Christians don't. Alright? And Christians don't read the Bible either. And it just makes it worse. And now all this stuff, it does become pagan. Because people just do what they want. And then this is when it represents the bad tree in the garden. Okay? Do you see why God had to do a bad version of the tree? Because everyone started doing this crap. Alright, and now I'm going to get into... God uses the philosophy and understanding of all kinds of fruit and all kinds of trees, metaphysical trees and stuff like that, to talk about the bad stuff too, alright? But another thing that God uses people as the fruit, okay? He uses people as fruit, alright? That is why in the Bible, he uses all kinds of things. Like, God will, the tree of evolution is called the tree of life. That's obviously a lie. This is representing the bad tree in the garden. Anyway, God uses these fruit on this tree to explain lots of things. He uses these fruit especially to explain that there are these fruit represent people and royal dainties, royal fruits, okay? So that's why in the Bible there are evil people hanging from trees, okay? There was Judas Iscariot, was the obvious one. All right, these all represent sons of Satan, okay? And there was Absalom, which is King David's other son, evil son. He got hung on a tree, all right? Also, there was King David's friend, right, and unloyal servant, if you catch my drift. He hung himself from a tree as well, okay? So yeah, God uses this fruit to explain lots of things. But one of the main things he uses them for is to talk about people, okay? The sons, and that's what the breastplates are too. These represent sons and fruit, right? These are sons of Satan, okay? And it's the exact same thing for the other tree. God uses good people hanging from trees. Obviously, the most obvious one is Christ. But then they started martyring people on crosses. Alright? These represent good hanging fruit versus bad hanging fruit. Alright? Okay, I'm going to talk about something. So Satan's missing 3 stones on his body, or on his crown, or on his breastplate. Okay, he's missing 3 stones. God uses this to explain a lot of different things. First of all, Satan and Jesus were never born equal, okay? Satan was always lacking, alright? They knew each other before, and humans, okay? They knew each other, okay? Anyway, God uses, the Bible's written in riddles. You're supposed to connect dots, okay? And God uses these 3 missing stones to explain a whole bunch of stuff. So many things. But right now I'm going to connect these 3 stones to the 3 wise men. Because I just told you that these 3 stones represent royalty, okay? Sons of Satan, which is everyone, okay? Everyone is a son of Satan until they know who Christ is, alright? Trust me, Satan has billions of stones on his breastplate, okay? Anyway, but God uses this philosophically for so many reasons. Satan started losing his power as soon as Christ was born, okay? People started coming to Christ the minute he was born. He started losing his power because these stones represent power and sons, okay? That's why there were 3 at least 3, okay? Because there's always going to be more in the future and now, alright? Satan, then that is the best way you can ever defeat Satan, is to steal his children away from him. Make them part of God's breastplate, okay? Make them part of God's crown. You get what I'm saying? Because these stones represent crowns and kings and sons. Alright, so listen to me. God uses these 3 kings to explain lots of things. The Bible doesn't tell you who they were or where they are from. That's because they were nobodies from nowhere. Okay? They didn't know Christ, so they were just a couple of fools wandering around in the wilderness. But they wanted the light, right? Okay? They didn't want to be part of those many people wandering around in the darkness. So, and then you're supposed to. God uses this story to explain lots of things. Okay. Oh man. So you know how the shepherds guided the. You have to read the whole story. Okay. But the shepherds, they led the Wisemen to the cross. Okay, because they didn't get there right in time. Or anyway. So you're supposed to be the cross. Yes, this represents Christ. You're supposed to be the guiding light who guides people through the wilderness, okay? Because that's what Christ did first. And you're supposed to be like these shepherds who then point to guide people to the foot of the cross, okay? You're supposed to guide people to the foot of the cross. And what do you do? What did you present Jesus with? Frankincense and myrrh. What's frankincense and myrrh represent? It represents anointing. Okay, first of all, this is evidence that Christ was going to be, because if you read the rules in the Old Testament, they used frankincense and myrrh to anoint the animal sacrifices. So this was God telling you this was going to be the new sacrifice. Okay, he had to hide it in the Bible because Satan can read the Bible. He didn't know that he had to kill him. Okay, that's why it's written in riddles. Anyway, so first of all, this is telling you that this was going to be the ultimate sacrifice, because that's what the sacrifices were anointed with, frankincense and myrrh. Not only that, what are you supposed to lay at the foot of the cross? More sacrifices. Are you supposed to literally sacrifice animals and people? No. They have to go willingly, of course. But the point is, you're supposed to bring more anointed people to the foot of the cross. That is the present that God wants under his tree. More anointed. He wants frankincense and myrrh, which means anointed people. Alright? People who are wandering in the wilderness and took refuge at the foot of the cross. The 3 wise men were the presents. Okay? He doesn't care about literal frankincense and myrrh. The 3 wise men were the real presents that God wanted. Alright? Okay, so here's a question. I wanted to get into more of trees, but I'm gonna have to wait to my next video. I think I'll get into more of these trees. So here's the question. So I believe that these multicolored trees with different kind of fruits was on them in the garden, and not to mention this is describing things in heaven. All right, I believe that there are something like Christmas trees in heaven. I actually believe that. Okay, so does that mean it's okay to put Christmas trees up? That's the question, because this stuff originally comes from God. Well, what does the first commandment say? You shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven. It tells you, even if you think these things are in heaven, you really shouldn't put them all over your house, okay? If you have a relationship with Christ, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you you're gonna go to hell or something. Okay, but you really shouldn't put angels and Christmas trees and whatever, even if you think these things are in heaven, all over your house. So are Christmas trees pagan or not? If you don't accept Christ, everything you do is pagan. Okay, if you aren't doing these things to glorify Christ in some way, it's always pagan. All right, but please know that the devil stole the stuff from God in the first place. Okay, these ancient cultures did not invent Christmas trees. Apparently, God did. All right, I really wanted to get that point across, and I really wanted to bring across the multiple fruit thing, because I know Christians really fight big time about what kind of fruit was on the trees, and they get into pretty nasty arguments when, quite frankly, God uses all of them. That's why there's so much evidence of all of them, because God uses all of them. All right, really. So please don't fight about that. All right, so I think I'm gonna end the video there, and I wanted to end it with some etymology. Okay, this is word studies. God uses cross translation words for more revelation. So I'm maybe going to do this right now. What does Christmas mean? The word Christmas. Okay, well, Christ part is obvious. What does Mas mean? Well, Mas could mean more, because MAS in certain languages mean more. All right, but mass is also short for massacre. All right, so are you going to massacre Christ today? Are you going to make Christ more today? That's what glorify means. It means to make Christ more. Are you going to glorify Christ today, or are you going to massacre him today? And if you are, you should know which one you're doing. All right, you should know if you're glorifying Christ today, or if you are glorifying the devil or glorifying evil. All right, and I also wanted to bring up one more thing. If your kids do not know who Christ is, and they like they know everything about Santa Claus, God is going to hold you responsible for that. I will say that. All right, if your kids have no idea who Christ is, and they're all about Santa Claus only, God is going to hold you responsible for that. I'm not kidding. All right, I'm not trying to make people mad. I'm trying to wake people up. Anyway, so please think about this stuff, guys. All right, thank you.